Nigerian president brought a deal back to Nigeria, a deal worth over 746 million pounds. And this is going to be over a couple of years. So it involves a lot of things. And it looks like it involves some loan that will be going to the Lagos state government for them to repair the port in Lagos, Nigeria. So we're looking at this deal and thinking, is this a good deal or is this a bad deal? If it's a good deal, what's the difference between this deal and the loans that we've borrowed over the years from China or from other countries willing to loan Nigeria some money?
I definitely think is a bad deal. Yeah, it's a bad deal for the simple fact that a lot of the money will go back to UK economy. UK will be getting some percentage of that loan invested in the economy since they are backing the loan. And then at the end of the day, a lot of people will be sent back to Nigeria and then they will join the queue of the unemployed in Nigeria. And no matter how you look at it, is a bad deal. And I don't really blame the UK government. They looked out after their own. I don't think Nigeria has any kind of leverage, to negotiate for a better deal.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Y and E podcast. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, share, and engage with us in the comment section. So we're discussing the outcome of the trip that the Nigerian president made to the UK. And it looks like they brought a deal back to Nigeria, a deal worth over 746 million pounds. And this is going to be over a couple of years. So it involves a lot of things. And it looks like it involves some loan that will be going to the Lagos state government for them to repair the port in Lagos, Nigeria. So we're looking at this deal and thinking, is this a good deal or is this a bad deal? If it's a good deal, what's the difference between this deal and the loans that we've borrowed over the years from China or from other countries willing to loan Nigeria some money? And we've heard stories or rumors about everything going on with the electricity situation or the national grid in Nigeria and how difficult it is for Nigerians to keep lights on. A lot of people are living on solar panel. A lot of people are living on fuel for their generators if they're able to afford to fuel their generators. And we're just looking at all these deals together and saying, is this a good deal for Nigerians or is this a bad deal? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a bad deal for the simple fact that a lot of the money will go back to UK economy. UK will be getting some percentage of that loan invested in the economy since they are backing the loan. And then at the end of the day, a lot of people will be sent back to Nigeria and then they will join the queue of the unemployed in Nigeria. And no matter how you look at it, is a bad deal. And I don't really blame the UK government. They looked out after their own. I don't think Nigeria has any kind of leverage, to negotiate for a better deal. But if you look at it, there is really no difference between this UK loan and then the China loan. In fact, to some point, if not because China is brutal, I actually prefer their own loan, dealing with them, taking loan from them than taking loan from all these Western countries, because a lot of their loans comes with a lot of baggages. They want you to adhere to some form of government. There are things you can't do. A lot of times they want to influence your government decision and all of that stuff. But China is not like that. China gives you loan and leave you to yourself. If you like, embezzle all the money. When time comes for them to get their money back, if you can't pay it back, whatever you use that money to build, they will just confiscate it. They've been doing it around Africa. I mean, I think there is a country in Africa where they basically seize their port, and then there is another one that they seize their international airport. So if you cannot pay, if you like, take a loan from them, squander it, invest it in your family, marry more wives, get more side chicks. It doesn't concern them. But UK, the US, especially the Western governments, when they give you loan or start giving you some kind of financial assistance, they want to, in fact, to some point, they want to dictate who will be your president. They want to dictate some kind of policy that you can pursue and not pursue. So to that extent, I think I prefer China loan. But on the whole, I think at this point in Nigerians' life, with everything going on, with the war in Iran, the price of crude has gone up. They're probably making almost double of their projection. I think the 2026 budget was projected crude oil was projected around $70 per barrel or 65. So now it's almost 120. They're probably making almost double. And with this, headwind, I do not expect them to be borrowing. They're supposed to, in fact, be running surplus and they're giving back some of that money to Nigerian. I mean, it looks like borrowing runs in our vein, and then it's unfortunate that a lot of time the money itself, you don't even see what they use it for.
Yeah, I agree that we're used to borrowing a lot of money. But if you dig deep, you see that all of these loans that the Nigerian leaders have taken on behalf of the Nigerian people, a lot of the loans have ended up in wrong hands. They've ended up in wrong pockets and not used for what they were meant to be used for. So if the UK is guaranteeing this loan, are they going to manage the disbursement of the loan? Are they going to make sure that the loan is being used for what it's meant to be used for? And if it's not used for what it's meant to be used for, how are they going to get it back? Because it looks like all those people are taking loans on behalf of the Nigerian people, and the Nigerian people will be the ones to pay back the loan when the current government leaves office, whenever they decide to leave. So, yeah, people should pay attention. I mean, I know I've seen some reports on the internet about the UK steel industry struggling, and they were looking for how to, fund that sector. And it looks like Nigeria came as an opportunity, and everyone is using each other for their own interest. You expect the UK government to protect their own interest, but do you trust the kind of leaders that we have to also protect Nigerians' interests? Once they give them a cut of the loan, would they, look sideways and make the average Nigerian bear the brunt? We've borrowed so much money out there, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel that shows this is when we're gonna finish paying the loan. I know that you know, the government has been struggling to disburse funds for their budget, just like you said. It's not news, and we also have a lot of elephant projects in the country. Unfortunately, it looks like the government is only short-sighted. They're not thinking long term. All the infrastructure in the country dilapidated, and they have zero plans to fix everything. Just like the electricity issue, it's been an ongoing problem for a very long time. A lot of people have complained that the Nigerian government is not paying their bills, so the gas companies supplying power to the power plants are not able to keep up with their bills when the Nigerian government is not paying the bills. And I wonder where all this money is going. You appropriate money to these causes or to these groups, and those money never get disbursed. The money that the Nigerian residents pay for using electricity don't get to where it needs to go. It looks like it's all big corrupt practices in different places, and it makes me wonder if we're ever gonna get to the bottom of the issues in Nigeria. Because it doesn't look like we're making progress at all. I know they're saying the president is trying, he's doing this, he's doing that, but it's really not showing. People are still out there struggling. People are still out there not happy. And we have people that are still struggling that once they're settled by the government or they are paid a little bit of money, they forget about their stress and they continue to campaign for the president. They continue to cheer his mandate up or stand on his mandate, and they forget about their people.
Yeah, BBC reported that that the Home Office said that the immigration deal would make it easier to return people who overstayed their visas, foreign criminals, and failed asylum seekers. So Nigeria has a very big problem. It looks like our leaders do not have the interest of the general public at heart. I think they are after their own pocket. I'm not exactly sure how somebody with a clear mind that had no gun put on his head will agree to this deal. If they refuse Trump from deporting people to Nigeria, from sending people to Nigeria, how did they go ahead and agree to the same thing with the UK government? In fact, UK government, I can almost, if I want to stretch it, I would actually argue that UK government don't even have leverage right now. UK government is almost failing. You can almost say that UK government is failing. They have no place in today's economy. I don't even think they are in the first 20 economy. Actually, a lot of states in the US are far richer than the UK. How did Tinubu end up agreeing to this deal? If you refuse Trump, and this is probably going to rile up Trump if Trump gets to know about this, Trump tried to do this, you said no to Trump, and now you are saying yes to UK government because They put up a show for you. They invited you. They put up lighting and all of that stuff. They put you on a horse-drawn carriage. This is stupid. Our leaders do not have our interest at heart. So what will happen to these people? Are they going to keep them in Nigeria, or they will send them out, send them back to their countries of origin? It's really ridiculous, the kind of leaders we have. They do not have our interest at heart. At first, I thought it was just Nigerians that overstayed their visas. I never knew that it includes foreigners. It's crazy. These people do not have our interest at heart.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's a bad idea, especially when you refuse the U.S. from sending other migrants to your country, and then you turn around accepting or agreeing to the UK government to do that to you. But I'm thinking maybe they want that loan, they want that 750 million pounds loan, and in order for them to get that loan, they have to make some concessions. Maybe this is one of the compromises or the concessions that they have to make to be able to get the loan. So they're still struggling to control the people to provide security for over 250 million people, and now they're gonna add a couple of people to it. It doesn't look like it's gonna work. I mean, are they going to provide housing for this new migrants that will be coming to Nigeria? What is the plan? Or is the plan to fund the migrant lifestyle part of the 750 million pounds loan? We don't know. So this is definitely a bad deal. And hopefully, I think it's too late now. They probably already signed it and nothing can be done about it. So Nigerians, you have to look out for themselves and, hold the government's feet to fire and make sure that whatever they plan that money for is being used for the purpose and not just being siphoned or being embezzled.
There is no way somebody, if the person is not blind, how they will sign this deal, because even they are also reporting that 20% of that money will be invested in UK's economy, which is almost a 236 million pounds of that money will go back to UK's, contractors and all of that stuff. And then they will supply 70 million pounds worth of British steel. That money is almost enough to revive our steel industry. Like their steel company, Ajaokute, is almost enough to revive those steel companies. What is wrong with Nigerian government? These people, well, I guess they don't care so long there is something going into their pocket. They really do not care. It doesn't really concern them, because I'm not saying 146 million pounds is not a lot of money, but on a country level, as a country, I don't think that's a lot of money that Nigeria will be falling over. Unless Tinubu and his boys are desperately looking for money to prosecute the next election, I don't see why why they will be scrambling over that debt. Meanwhile, 20% of that money is going back to UK's contractor plus the sourcing fee and all of that stuff. So UK out of 746 million pounds, UK is getting almost they will get almost close to 350 million pounds back to the economy. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Well, let us know what you think. I think at some point, maybe in the future, we will calculate how much the debt, Nigerians' debt, we'll divide it by our population, and we'll know how much we owe individually. Because these people, they are really going rogue. I honestly do not like the deal, but I guess they signed off on the deal because they will have something to put in their pocket. Let us know what you think, and we'll be happy to engage with you in the comment section.